This is why you died.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Is Why You Died, a podcast where we discuss horror movies until someone dies. Who will it be this episode? Call in now and make your voices heard. But as the switchboard lights up, let me introduce myself and my fellow tributes, co-hosts, RyanRossLIVE and Dan Marcha Madness. Hello, boys. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
I think one of us is dying at the end of this episode. That's what I'm taking from this intro.
I hope not.
That's what it feels like.
You never know. You never know. But we will be discussing why we died if we do die. So, as always, guys, a brief description of the show. Here on the show, we draw prompts at random from our respective receptacles, and then we choose films that these prompts inspire, and then we all watch those movies and come back here to discuss them with all of you dedicated listeners. So, for example, last episode, Dan had the prompt technology, and so he chose 2020's Host, a movie which was filmed exclusively using the technology of the Zoom call. So here we are back again. We have a new prompt. That prompt is my prompt this week. I'm the one who's choosing the movie for this week. But before we do that, guys, I want to check in with you, see how you all are doing this week. Dan, how are you doing? Ryan, how are you doing? What's new, boys?
Feeling good. Feeling good, ready to talk horror. I've been waiting to talk about this movie.
Yeah,
I'm excited to talk about this one. I have a lot of thoughts on this one.
Ryan, are you eating Twizzlers over there?
Ugh.
Okay, hold up. I have a guilty pleasure with Twizzlers, okay? Here's the deal. They're not good. I recognize they're not good.
Agreed.
They're basically plastic,
Yep.
and I own that. But they're one of those things that, like, if I sit down and I'm like doing something else while eating a bag of Twizzlers, I will mindlessly eat the whole bag, and it's really bad.
How big of a bag? How big of a bag are you talking about?
I mean, I don't know the size of a bag of Twizzlers, but like offhand, they're just, they're the
like 12, like 12 Twizzlers.
It's more than that.
Oh God!
Let me look up. Let me look up what
it's like a pound of Twizzlers.
It's okay. A pound's a lot. Well, let me look up the average.
Oh Jesus! Is that like your
size?
Is that your go-to?
Of a bag of Twizzlers? No. It was there's 12. Okay. No. So the regular ones are 7 ounces and a 12 count. It looks like. That seems small.
That does seem, but it still seems like too much for Twizzlers.
I don't know. There's 16 ounce and 32 ounce. I don't know what the average one is.
Okay, but that's 16 ounces or 32 ounces too many Twizzlers that you're consuming. You should be eating red vines.
I don't have them
red
often.
vines only. And
I don't.
That's all I eat.
I don't
is
have
red
them
vines.
often.
Oh God!
These were-
Are we going to do this debate between Twizzlers and Red Vines?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think that you either choose
Red vines are chalky. End
They're
of
not
debate.
chalky. They
They're
soft.
dry and they're chalky.
You've gotten bad ones. You probably got bad ones. You got to go like test them. It's like when you go to the fruit section and you're like testing out the watermelon. You got to feel the red vine. Is it soft? Grab that one.
First
You probably
off,
got a hard red vine from
are
like
you
6
telling
months
me
ago.
that the red vines come in those big plastic tubs? Are you telling me that you open them up and feel them, but at the grocery store?
No. Those should be okay. It just depends on where you're going. Are you going to Costco? or are
He's
you
talking about them like they're an avocado, like they're going to
It
go
is.
over in a day or something.
If you shake them, they should. You can tell the texture by the sound they make against the plastic bin.
Nothing better than a fresh
I'm
Red
just
Vine.
telling you, go to a movie theater and then buy the tray ones and feel if they're soft, and if they are, just enjoy them with your next movie. And I guarantee you will switch from Twizzlers to Red Vines. Where you
Honestly,
should be.
I cannot think of the last time I had red vines. And to be fair, this is the first time I've had Twizzlers in a very long time. These were left over from a family gathering, and they just were like,
Oh, God.
"Who wants these?" I was like, I'll take them.
So somebody in your family brings Twizzlers to family gatherings. That's like
It was
their
like
item?
it was. We have a yearly Big Bear trip. Everybody brings snacks. They were one that was still left over after the weekend. You know?
So this sickness is genetic. This is a family thing. Okay, just checking.
Don't get Ryan's mom mad again.
Oh, I know. I'm
Ryan's
sorry.
mom's gonna
I'm
get
sorry,
so
Mrs.
mad
Yeah,
at
on
us
the side of the
again.
family.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
This is the paternal side.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ross Live. Please, I don't want to make your mom cry again. I do have to, I can't weigh
This
in
is
on
why
this.
you cried.
This is why you cried. We're going to
Yeah.
be doing that show again. God. Yeah, I can't weigh in on this, boys, because to me, it's like an argument between toenails. Like, oh,
That's
this toenail,
disgusting.
I don't like this toenail because it's too chalky. I don't like this toenail because it wasn't fresh enough. Either way, it's disgusting.
Okay, but you gotta like some candy. There's got to be one candy.
One candy.
I'm not a candy man.
No,
Ugh.
but there are hundreds of candies on the planet. There's got to be one that you enjoy.
Okay, but it's not like I was gonna say the fruit kind, but I don't even know what the hell red vines or Twizzlers are supposed to be.
Like
if they're like
fake strawberries.
They're licorice. They're by definition
you guys
licorice.
don't even know what they are.
They're
Well,
licorice.
real licorice would be like
They're
black
literally-
licorice, which would be
It's
you know.
licorice.
Ugh.
They're red licorice. But anyway,
Yeah.
Gun to my head, Reese's peanut butter cups, but
That's great.
okay.
See, good choice.
You can't argue with
Basic,
that.
but
That's,
fair.
They actually taste like something, and that's peanut butter, and that's what they are.
You should just go
well,
pieces.
they're not actually peanut butter. They're also chalky, but that's okay.
I just wish.
Man, you were really big on texture in your candy choices there, Ryan.
You know what, Ryan? If you think that Reese's peanut butter cups are chalky,
Mhm.
you need to try a fresh one.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you just gotta feel it. You just
you do.
feel
You try a
the
fresh one.
Reese's. You're not touching your candy
Yeah, I
enough.
gotta just put my thumb straight through the top of the cup,
Mhm.
Fresh one.
like Peter Piper and his. What's the one who sticks its
Stick your
Tom
thumb into a
sticks
Reese's
in-
peanut butter cup, and you can tell
just
it's like-
straight in.
just like an avocado. But that being said, if we're talking about freshness, we have to talk about the fresh movie of the day today, which is my choice,
Oh,
based
my.
off of the prompt that I got, which was Lost. So I had Lost, and I had to
Good
do a
segue.
Dan. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I had to do a Dan and go a little bit off the beaten path for this one. So
But
from Lost, I chose 2020's The Empty Man by David Pryor, which is I want to champion this movie. I really want to get more people to watch this movie because this movie came out in the middle of the pandemic. It just got dumped by 20th Century Fox in the middle of its acquisition by Disney. And no one, well, it's starting to get a cult following now, but it definitely kind of got lost in the shuffle, if you will.
Mm.
I really want people to find this movie, so I wanted to show it to you guys. I wanted us all to watch it and come back here and talk about it. And here we are. And this is the point in the show where we give the spoiler warning. Bam, bam, bam.
beep, beep.
Going forward, massive spoilers for The Empty Man. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on right now. It's on, I think, Hulu?
Hulu
Has
Hulu's
it?
where I watched it.
Which
Yep.
is crazy. That's a big platform to have it. But go watch The Empty Man on Hulu and then come back and listen to the rest of the show, or just fuck it and go ahead and just get spoiled. See if you
I know
can.
there are listeners out there that do.
Yeah. Oh, they just go ahead with it. They're like, whatever. We just want to hear you guys talk about it. Which, you know what? That's fine. If you want to eat Twizzlers, eat Twizzlers. I'm not going to judge that much. So, boys, let's talk about The Empty Man. Dan, you had seen this movie before.
Okay.
What's your experience with The Empty Man?
Okay, here's the thing. So this came out 2020, height of pandemic. I'm already like under stress, I know, but I'm watching horror movies late at night. And as a dad, you know, staying up with the kids and then watching horror movies, like it takes me 2-3 nights sometimes to finish movies, sadly, because I'll fall asleep during them. Now, the thing about The Empty Man is that it kind of feels like 3 movies in one.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
Yeah.
full transparency, I really thought that the first 30 minutes of this movie was the entire movie when I first saw it. So I think what happened was I fell asleep. It probably within the first 15 minutes, woke up as the 30-minute act like was ending and saw what happens in the end. And I was like, wow, that was a cool movie out in the snow. I thought the whole movie was in the snow. And so I think that's what happened a couple years ago, rewatching it now and realizing that the snow part was the only first 35 minutes and there was a whole other 2 hours
That's
of
the
like
title sequence.
Exactly. That was the title sequence. I thought that seeing The Empty Man, I was like, oh, they pulled the Christopher Nolan and put the title at the end. I like that. So I got totally confused. And so the first time I saw this, I thought The Empty Man was that first 30 minutes. And so
What a great short film.
Yeah, I was like, wow. But I think because I had slept for 5 minutes in between that first 30, I felt like it was longer, so I thought I saw a whole movie. Anyways, so that was like a mess up on my part. So now watching it this second time was actually now watching it for the first time for me, and it's incredible. Like it's such a fantastic movie. There's like, it really does feel like there's these 3 acts are almost 3 separate sort of movies that almost take on 3 different horror genres. There's callbacks to other movies. I really loved it, and I want to. It's a movie that I can easily put on every year because I want to revisit it, because there's so much within it and so many layers that I feel like I just want to kind of keep putting the puzzle together. But I loved it.
I agree, man. It's a very rich movie, and I'm looking forward to really drilling down into all the different parts of it. But first, I want to hear like Ryan's overall thoughts on it. First time ever seeing it.
Honestly, I wonder how many movies are out there that Daniel's watched and missed the
partly
whole
seen.
middle of, and he's seen the whole movie. Hey guys, Psycho was great. What do you mean there was an investigator in the middle?
Yeah, it ended at the shower. That was great. Great ending.
Yeah, man, it was so good. Honestly, though, as far as this movie goes, I really enjoyed it. I think that like I loved the kind of like modern take on it, in the sense that like it felt the effects were cool. You could tell that the filming felt very modern and like a kind of took on some cinematic aspects that you don't really see in a lot of older horror movies. I feel like it kind of had, I don't know if it was just the color grading or if it was just the way that shots transition from one to the other, or honestly even just like the depth of shots and stuff. It felt very like current to me in a cool way.
Well, it is only 5 years old.
I know, but but the thing is, like, I haven't seen a lot of modern horror movies. Keep in mind, I'm the new one here, right? So it's like it's cool.
That's very true.
It's cool to see like horror done in a more modern sense.
Is this the most modern horror movie we've watched on this show?
No, we watched
It's The Substance that came out last year.
Okay.
But also, to be fair, The Substance plays into like the kind of hyper HD nature of things sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like, and I would also propose, I'm trying to use I would argue less because it feels aggressive. I'm trying to be intentional in my language.
Oh, you
But I
can
would
be
like
aggressive on this show. It makes
I
it
know,
more fun.
but it's respectful. I would like to propose or point out that I feel like a lot of horror tends to try to call back to old horror or mimic old styles of itself, of the sense that there is like we've referenced before, like the 80s being kind of like a golden era of horror, things like that. There's an aesthetic with horror that tends to be that kind of like faded, either 80s or 90s looking vibe of that kind of rugged, grungy type look. And this did not have that. And it felt a lot more of like the kind of like blue-toned modern Nolan-esque filmmaking that is a lot of like the 2010s and 2020s. And that was just a cool thing. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to kind of dive into some of the themes of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that about the color grading and about the work on the film, because the director, David Pryor, it's his first feature-length movie. Before this, he was one of David Fincher's right-hand men.
Oh, I love Fincher.
He worked very closely with David Fincher. He directed a bunch of documentaries for Fincher's movies, and also Michael Bay. So he worked very closely with some very visual filmmakers. So
that's also an odd combo. Like, honestly, Fincher's one of my favorite directors because I feel like every single shot in Fincher movies has intention. Like, he's one of the directors that, like, he doesn't give you wasted space. Every single image in a Fincher film is there on purpose and means something. Whereas I feel like Michael Bay is so known for like the sensational, like, and here's an explosion. Like,
but a really beautifully framed explosion. I mean, also
True.
very intentional with where he puts his cameras. And I feel like Empty Man, I agree with you. I feel like it's shot beautifully. I would actually argue it is a little dated. It just screams actually like kind of like late 2000s to me in terms of how it looks. But I'm not mad at that because as we'll talk about, I think there is a little bit of calling back to horror movies that came out in that era that it's trying to refer to before it takes a turn. And let's quickly just talk about what Empty Man is. Empty Man is, as you said, Daniel, it's an interesting, almost 3-part movie where you have a 20 or 25 minute opening sequence in the Himalayas of these 4 hikers and experiencing something supernatural in the Himalayan, the Bhutan wilderness, which is I think it could be a short film.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
It's one of the best parts of the movie, frankly.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's so clean. It's so good. You could just leave it there and you'd have an awesome film just in and of itself. But as a lead in to this larger film, it sets the stage beautifully well. We then all of a sudden just like hard cut to this ex-detective who's torn up with grief over some horrible shit that's happened to him, and his wife and son are dead, and he feels some guilt over it, and he's investigating the disappearance of his neighbor's daughter. And that's a whole like kind of like detective story / teen slasher / supernatural movie for about another hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts taking a turn into like cults and conspiracies. And then in the last like 45 minutes or so, it goes just hardcore cult Lovecraftian insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not, when I first watched this movie, I had heard that this was, as myself, a huge Lovecraft fan, and I cannot wait to talk about the Lovecraftian aspects of this movie. But I had heard it was a good Lovecraft movie, and I checked it out for that reason. And in the opening 20 minutes, you go, oh yeah, Lovecraft, got it, no problem. And then it goes, and you're like, where'd my Lovecraft go? No, what? Where did it go? Bring it back. And then it starts to like dabble a little bit more in the scene with the cult in the swamp and like little things where you get the sense there's something bigger going on. And then the last 10 minutes just goes full on ball smacking on your forehead Lovecraft. And I lost my damn mind. I was just like, thank God they finally nailed it.
Okay,
I'm so excited to like just start like organizing our thoughts and going like piece by piece in this
Ian,
movie.
can you quickly, I don't know if that's even possible, can you like sum up what Lovecraftian means and is? Because like I have a vague grasp, and I know that like what Lovecraft novels and the beings and the creatures that are created and how those have kind of interweaved through a number of horror movies. But if you can like explain it quickly for people that might not understand or have heard the phrase before, that might be
I'm curious, like just in terms of like pop culture, like Ryan, what of Lovecraft, like what ideas of Lovecraft have penetrated through the culture? Like when I say Lovecraft, what do you think of?
Well, I will say I do also I would call myself a casual Lovecraftian fan, but like I'm into, I mean, I'm a fantasy like mythology nerd, right? And Lovecraftian stuff is very adjacent to that. But like I would personally describe Lovecraftian as like essentially the unknowable depths beyond mortal perception in like a horror sense of like obviously the most famous being Cthulhu and being like the deep unknowable madness or the deep sea, like the things that exist beyond the realm of mortal comprehension or understanding, and that when witnessed or peered into cause devastating and unending madness or other like paralytic and damaging effects. And then from there it just kind of expands into a bunch of different like almost cryptidy like creatures and mind effects and alternate dimensions or realms and breaching into the unknowable in various forces and darkness and urges and things. Would be kind of how I describe Lovecraftian.
That feels right on.
That's pretty good. I mean, and really as like kind of the basic Lovecraft, you nailed it. That's it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's the fear of the vast unknown. If you look up like what is Lovecraftian horror, it's always going to start with it is the fear of the vast unknown, of being insignificant in a universe that is massively larger than you, and the awareness,
cosmic horror.
Exactly. Once the growing awareness of that, once you can conceive how insignificant you are and how large these other forces are, it will drive you insane, right? That's and the descriptiveness, the ability to describe the indescribable is also kind of tied up in all that. And as you said, there are those kind of famous Lovecraft critters, Cthulhu being the most famous one, this old god that is both dead and yet asleep that lives at the bottom of the ocean, which in itself is kind of a limnic space that exists in Lovecraftian works, kind of like outer space. It exists in the same sort of way where it's so vast and dark and unknowable that it creates the same sort of effect in human minds, right?
It's almost its own void.
Yeah, it's a void that we can't exist in, but there's something there that if it became aware of us, could wipe us out without even thinking twice and really have no concept of what it was doing. That's Lovecraftian horror. But the other thing about Lovecraftian horror that I particularly am drawn to
is the tentacles.
Absolutely the tentacles. The tentacles are essential.
Lots of tentacles.
You've got to have tentacles. And I don't mean that in a Japanese kind of way. Hello. But no, there's another aspect of Lovecraftian horror, and it actually is it's a much older concept than Lovecraft. And that is the original meaning behind the word sublime. What is the sublime? Have you guys ever looked into what sublime, the word sublime actually means or where it comes from?
No, just the band.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So
that was such a hit fire. Like,
oh.
It's like that Whitest Kids You Know sketch of like, do you have any last words? Yes, just 3. Like, no, just the band.
Dude,
oh my goodness!
You'll never hear the band the same.
Okay.
So the word sublime is a very old word, and it basically comes from the idea of pushing up against a barrier, being at the very barrier of something. This goes all the way back to the Romans and Longinus. It's the border between the physical and the knowable and the vast unknowable, and experiencing that space, that area between what we can conceive and what we can't conceive, and having it be essentially something that could overwhelm us or could destroy us, and we're not really sure. That feeling that you get there, that's the experience of the sublime. It's not pleasure, it's not beauty, it's awe. It involves awe, it involves fear, it involves this sense of smallness. Like if you can be in a forest staring up at these dark trees rising away from you. You can be standing on the lip of a volcano. You can be on the edge of an ocean watching storm clouds coming towards you. Those are all experiences of the sublime. Lord Byron wrote about it. Immanuel Kant had a whole bunch of philosophy where he discussed what exactly it meant. And ironically, in this movie, maybe not ironically, maybe specifically, the high school is called Jacques Derrida High School. And Derrida, when it came to the sublime, was an acolyte of Kant. Because he discussed deconstructivism, which basically discussed how things could exist and not exist at the same time. And they, by having that duality, they create each other. And I'm starting to get really deep into some shit already here, but we're talking about Lovecraft.
I love Daniel just like shaking his head like, holy shit.
What is happening? Like,
so just classically, the sublime was that area between pleasure and fear, et cetera, et cetera. And Lovecraft was the guy who came along and said, no, it's just fucking fear. It's just horror. It will fucking make you go insane. That's what the sublime is. And that's what Lovecraftian horror is. It's the sublime specifically as horror. It is your experience of horror is seeing something so vast and unknowable, and it causes you to feel the sublime. So that to me is what Lovecraft
and to break
is.
Usually.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. To break and to lose your mind. And so in this movie, you not only have this kind of playing around with the idea of the sublime and things that are beyond your knowing and will cause you to break, like in the first 20 minutes where you encounter some weird old alien thing in a cave and it takes over your mind and causes you to have all your friends die. But then later on, all the ways that it messes with James's mind. And you ultimately find out that he is not who he thinks he is. And we'll get into that in a second. But I really also not just want to talk about kind of the bigger picture of Lovecraft, but have you guys ever heard of Nyarlathotep?
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. No, I feel like I've heard of that for some reason, but like the name sounds familiar. But
Is it a pharaoh?
Well, right. It sounds Egyptian, and actually, apparently, in Lovecraft's mind, which was somewhat racist, he thought that had some sort of darker meaning, but it became a much bigger character. So Cthulhu is a really well-known character in Lovecraft. Nyarlathotep, a little bit less so, but he has become actually one of the bigger kind of Cthulhu mythos gods more recently. And he's actually, if you look at, he's in a lot of video games, he's in a lot of movies, he starts showing up a lot more. When I first watched this movie, I lost my mind, pardon the pun, Because at the end, when the critter finally attacks him in the hallway, what happens to it, right? It starts metamorphosing. And what pops out of the top? This giant tentacle for a head. That's Nyarlathotep. That is the description of it. It'd be like if in the movie, the creature pops out of the robes and it's got a big octopus for a head, you'd go, oh, it's Cthulhu, right? The conventional depiction of Cthulhu. That's what happened in this movie, only it's another Lovecraftian god. It's Nyarlathotep. Whose name I haven't pronounced consistently yet, but still, yeah.
It's an alphabet soup of a name, to be fair.
It is. But in Lovecraft's work, and I'm going off on this, excuse me, boys. In Lovecraft's work, Nyarlathotep was a god of chaos. He was the guy who was trying to drive everything towards entropy, towards the outer gods. And he was supposed to be a false prophet leading humans astray into chaos, using their reason against them. He would be a man of charisma who would use logic and technology and religion to lead humans astray.
Whoa. What? That sounds like right now. That sounds like the times that we're living in.
Yeah, maybe this movie's ahead of its time in that sense. So now that I have gone off on Lovecraft for a second, I wanted to ask you guys, and I'm just going to throw this out there, but what stood out to you guys and your awareness of Lovecraft? Like, what in this movie jumped out to you that screamed Lovecraft, or tripping that riff, that sublime riff, like pushing the edges of sanity? Like, what jumped out to you?
I'll be honest, I didn't draw the Lovecraft connection because, as I said, I consider myself kind of a Lovecraft casual. I have a basic understanding of the mythos. But generally, I associate the mythos with madness. And this one was more, we've got the cult angle to deal with, but then B, I was trying to figure out kind of what the whole entities thing was for a lot of the movie. And it was interesting because I was trying to box it into the rules that they set up, right? Of like, okay, there's this bridge, there's the bottle, there's the thinking about, there's the pattern of nights. Like, there's this set of rules that seem to be in place for a lot of this. And then there's this weird cult that seems to be aware of and somewhat immune to said rules or something, which got a little fuzzy for me. But I kept waiting for it to tie back to the beginning. And it kind of does at the end to a degree.
Does. Yeah.
But also it's basically just like the next step of, how do I word this? The beginning kind of stands on its own, and you've got the entire story that is set up to tie into the beginning, but all of the actions that take place to tie it into the beginning are external to the being itself. They've got this big cult of people that are acting to basically create this continuum, so to speak, and they don't really tie into a lot of like the awareness of how this cult got a lot of its following or awareness where it's from. They kind of hint like there's only one of these conduits every so long, but the cult has a lot of people and a pretty established presence. And so there was some of that missing for me. But I'll be honest, I didn't really make the Lovecraftian connection. I was more just focused on like what is this thing and what are the rules it behaves by and how does that apply within this context was kind of what I focused in on.
Well, then fair enough. What were your conclusions?
Well, honestly, so I was interested to see if some of the rules played through in the first section, because I had watched through and they really drive the rules in about like the first third of the movie in, right? Like when he's doing during the detective section that we described of like, he's chasing things down. He's trying to figure out the pattern. Like the girls, like if you think about him on the bridge and you see him, and then the first night you see him and the second night you hear him and the third night he gets you, whatever. And they establish all this stuff. But I was like, I don't remember them blowing. Like they do the whistle thing after he's already corrupted at the beginning of the movie. But did I miss a whistle blow? And so I went back and watched, and ironically, nobody blows on any whistles before Paul. Hold on. Side note, the guy's name is Paul. He hears a whistle blown. But the guy's name is Paul. During the first watch through this movie, I was like, is this Aaron Paul? Because it looks like Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
It did look
he
like
looks
Aaron
so
Paul.
much like him. And then here's the crazy thing. His character is named Paul. It's not Aaron Paul, but the actor's name is Aaron Poole. So
weird. Aaron
what
Poole.
weird stuff
Named
is
Paul.
going on there? Aaron
like
Poole,
Aaron.
who looks like Aaron Paul, is playing Paul. But that completely aside, he hears the whistling. And like I did a little bit of research into this particular thing of like, it seems like he's supposed to, because he's got mental issues. He has suicidal tendencies. He struggles with mental health. They kind of hit on some of this stuff briefly and hint at it within that opening sequence. He's meant to be like a prime candidate for a conduit for the Empty Man. And so he hears its calling within the tomb chamber thing, but nobody actually whistles on anything until he's already like channeled and gone wrong.
See, and my theory was the whistle was coming across the top of that cave like you do a whistle.
I wondered if that was, because that would make sense, and like that leads him to the thing,
which is kind of creepy.
But he's also
it's nature. It's nature is the whistle, right? The rock, the stone is the whistle.
Correct. And he hears it right after they cross the bridge. But then he's also like, he's one of the only ones that's conscious enough to like communicate. And like, if we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna jump a little ahead in the story here, but he literally manages to get out to the friend, if you touch me, you will die. And the friend's like, fuck it, and takes him. It's like, you have rope, just tie the rope around him. like if my friend is staring at this like mummy thing and like won't move and isn't injured after falling in stone, is like, if you touch me, you'll die, and being all fucking creepy, I'm gonna take that rope and I'm gonna tie the carefulest knot I've ever tied to make sure I don't have any contact with this guy, and then we're gonna pull him out and haul him back to civilization, because I ain't fucking around with that.
This is like I wouldn't run upstairs in the house if the killer was chasing me.
What? Like,
I think you would. I think you'd want to just grab your friend, because you're just like, let's get out of here. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
They explain it later where they say the friend has a history of being dramatic, right?
That's true too.
And he's like, I'm sick of your shit. You're always doing this drama shit.
You gotta be the special one.
Right. All right. Here we go again.
Which is such a shitty thing to say to your friend who's suicidal, by the way. Like, granted, I'm sure his patience been tried, but still. His
patience was probably at an end after all the storm and all the creepy shit. But at the same time, that moment, why did that guy get pulled in? Maybe because he was the traumatized one. Maybe because the Empty Man speaks best through trauma. They say that at the end. Why did they have to make their own tulpa? Because they had to make a being that existed only in pain and grief and suffering. And that was the perfect conduit for Nyarlathotep, or the Empty Man, or whatever you want to call it. I love the idea of the Empty Man because it has so many meanings. It could be the tulpa, right?
Yeah.
The avatar that they're going to put him into, that they create a shell that is just made of pain, that we ultimately find out is our main character, who is kind of like a choose your own adventure.
He's a receptacle.
Yeah. Right. But so he is an empty man, but then also they refer to this god, let's call him Nyarlathotep, just for the sake of whatever. But he's the empty man as well, because he represents the void, staring into death, staring into nothingness, staring into the great unknown. Dan, I wanted to get your ideas too here. Like, what did you read from this movie?
I was also in the same boat as Ryan. I didn't connect the cosmic horror or the
Lovecraftian.
Yeah, the Lovecraftian element. I think I was tapping more into the idea of the tulpa, and I feel like that is not necessarily Lovecraftian. It's more like a little bit more ancient than that, maybe a little bit more, indigenous potentially. But that was kind of more of the background I was going for, as opposed to but then, I guess at the end there, definitely the tentacles coming out and that sort of like alien-esque sort of xenomorph look that it kind of has, that like that kind of, that sort of vibe that it gave at the end in that hallway, that I see it now. I didn't get it when I watched it. Even I didn't connect that too. So it's interesting that you say that, and it also, like, the more I'm hearing both of you talk about it, the more I feel like that could be an issue for this movie, is that I feel like it's trying to take on or accomplish too many ideas, too many things for it to feel kind of like a masterful kind of completed story. It feels like it has a lot of disjointed ideas that don't necessarily fully come together in this like, oh, wow, sort of aha moment at the end. I think the callback where you finally realize that this guy in the bed they've been like, that they've been worshiping to is the guy from the beginning. When they revealed that, I was like, oh, that was a great little twist, because I had forgotten, because they had done so much in between this guy like there was so much that happened in between that opening sequence to that moment, so the reveal was really nice. But I still just feel like that's one of the things about this movie that doesn't like make it like, you know, a top horror for me, is that it's trying to do too many things in the time that it has. Like, it's trying
Okay,
to,
so if that's
yeah.
the case, then I'll throw it to you and then to Ryan as well. What would you have cut out? What scenes, what parts, what would you have done to shrink this movie down by, say, 20 minutes?
Here's the thing, is that I think you have to decide as a filmmaker what direction you want to go. I think if you want to make a really great Candyman sort of like supernatural vibe, you focus a lot on that second part with the teenagers and the bridge. I thought all that was great as its own like urban legend sort of movie. That's if you want to tell that. I think that if you want to tell like this sort of like cult bigger picture movie, then I think you have to explain more about what they were gaining out of it. I think that there's a lot of ideas that they're setting forth, but I'm not seeing like, why did they need to draw an empty man, and like why did they need that, and like what are they gaining personally from themselves for, you know, going to, you know, visit this guy and praise this guy. And like, you obviously you learn at the end like that this hospital seems like it's run by this whole cult. So this cult definitely is like bigger and more well connected than than they really show. But that's what I think you then explore a bit, is like you explored that cult side and how it's spreading its like tentacles, so to speak, through the world, and like, oh, this is what they're doing. And I think that they laid a lot of like really good groundwork, or like a lot of really cool ideas, but they never really summed anything up enough to make it like super impactful for me.
So what about you? Wait, Ryan, what would you have cut out?
Honestly, I think for me, it's less about what I would have cut out and more about the pieces that I felt like either were missing or got fuzzy. Because to Daniel's point, one of the things that I found even during the movie kind of pulling me out was this cult has a lot of pull and a lot of influence and a lot of region and a paper trail. And granted, cops tend to be inept in a lot of horror movies for the reason that like it usually required for the movie to function. But the fact that like he's able to like do this research and like figure out where this camp is and whatever, and like he's able to break in, and the cops never go and check out the camp. He's able to go into the depths of this cult building, and there's like all these layers to the cult complex of like, you've got like the kind of front-facing cult meeting up top, and then you've got like the people praying at the wall, and then you've got the people in the dark blowing into bottles and speaking in chants in front of a board. And they also, I kind of referenced the rules a bit earlier. The rules aren't consistent throughout the movie, which was a criticism that I had. They set up the rules of like, if you blow and you think about him, he's going to get you. And the cult seems to be immune to this trait, kind of blanket across the board. They know something that like nobody else, like they know something that makes them immune or something, but they do all of the things that everyone who dies, that's a sentence. They do all the things that everyone who dies does. Is that grammatically correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
but none of them,
right. Sounds
got
right.
you.
but none of them die. And you've got the one guy who's the double fake, who's I don't remember who they reference for him, but he's basically for me as the youngin, I would say he's basically Jonathan Byers meets Steve Harrington from Stranger Things.
Oh yes, that guy.
But
the guy smoking the cigarette out in the alleyway.
Yeah,
kid.
but they make some like it's not John Wayne, but they make some cool guy old movie reference about the kid. But he's like, he is this whole double back fake of like, he leads him to the camp, and then they've got that whole scene where he's like laughing and he leaves him in the parking lot. Like some of that stuff, I think to Daniel's point, it's a cool scene. It doesn't add anything to fix all of these things that they've left kind of ambiguous. And then the movie ends and it's cool. They have these cool twists and they've set up this whole journey, and ultimately they have a cool moment at the end, but they spend some time doing things that are cool visually, but leave still narrative fuzziness going on. And I don't know if that's intentional, considering the whole madness and gray area nature of like what we're trying to explain. Like it's intentionally esoteric, I think, in some ways, but it's just odd because overall the experience is very cool and the movie is very cool, and we go on this very cool journey and there's a lot of cool moments within it. But then it almost feels like at the end you still have some questions that feel like they should have been answered, not that they are meant to be like these unknowable questions. They feel like, well, this is a thing that should have been explained, or if it wasn't explained, we should have a reason it wasn't. Things are taken for granted or given, and they provide no context as to why it's unusual in nature, and they don't provide any reason why it is.
And that is unfortunate, and it's something that I think is a result of the production of this movie, where it was taken out of Pryor's hands before he was really done with it.
Really?
He considers this movie, he considers it a rough cut. He said the studio took it from me and put it out, and this is not the movie I wanted to do.
That sucks.
And
I can feel it. You can feel it.
you can feel the rough edges on it. And to me, like, I feel like that whole section with the kids, with what I feel like is like a nod to Slender Man and Creepypasta and, the like urban legends like Candyman or Bloody Mary, like that. Yeah, that kind of thing. It feels so shoehorned in that it feels like studio interference. I haven't read the comic book this is based on, so that's my ignorance there. I don't know if that was part of that. I do know that in the comic book, the actual Empty Man was a kind of virus, an actual literal virus, not just a thought virus or a spiritual virus. But that whole part with the kids feels shoehorned into me. It's not necessary. If you just follow his journey with the missing girl and the cult and that whole progression and spend a little more time, sanding off those rough edges as Ryan's describing and as you're describing, Dan, and really, polishing that more, you got a great lean 2-hour movie here. Even with the opening sequence, which I think you could even cut and salt throughout the movie and really kind of let that story play parallel to the story of James. And you can actually watch them go through their thing in the mountains. And then at the end, the twist is that it happened 20 years before, and you find the guy, Aaron Paul, in the hospital.
Aaron
Poole.
In the hospital at the end. And you're like, wait, that took place in the past? This is now? James is not real? It's all a thing so that outer God can get into humanity? Right?
Okay, so here's that. You just said something that I now have to bring up, because that's where I'm very confused. I'm still confused a little bit on the ending. So that's where I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it, is that you said James isn't real. So is he real? Hold on. Because he had a family. Yes? Did he? I don't know.
I would say
is
no.
Is the family real?
No, it's so the girl whose name escapes me right now, Nora? No.
The mother is Nora or whatever.
The mother's Nora, played by Marin Ireland.
But the daughter...
The daughter...
is Amanda.
What was her name? Amanda Quayle. Yeah.
Okay.
Looking like the kid from Stranger Things. Yeah.
She does
I know
look
you're
like...
talking about.
that bob haircut.
Exactly like...
God.
What, Ethan Hawke's daughter? What's her name?
Will Byers. Yeah. Oh, Maya Hawke. You're thinking of Maya Hawke.
Maya Hawke. She looks just like Maya Hawke. I was like, is that Maya Hawke? I was like, oh, it's...
With Will's haircut.
I thought she looked more like Finn Wolfhard. But that's just me.
We all have different... Well, like the kids with Stranger Things. And every single one of us thought
it's like exactly. 3 Stranger Things kids just smashed into one person. There you go.
So she was the one who dreamed him up. He's her Tulpa. Well, he's their Tulpa, but she was the one who she helped write his story, but she put in all the details with her mom, right? Oh, you cheated with my mom on your wife and kid, but your wife and kid never actually existed.
What?
It's all invented.
Right? So that's right. That's the part that's invented. Is his wife,
so
his
the
kid.
Wife,
which is why when he calls the mom, she doesn't recognize who he is.
Right, the mom exists, but nothing else does.
So when she when he calls her on the phone, that's kind of like the first time that he's ever talking to her.
Correct,
for real.
And there's never been a wife and son that died in a car accident.
No.
Okay.
She made that up.
Was he ever a cop? This guy.
No.
Who is he interacting with then? Who is he? These
real cops, but they've been implanted with memories by the cult, or they're working for the cult.
What?
Well, but you can go through the movie and
I totally missed that. I missed that then.
And see, there's interactions that he couldn't have had. Right? How much of this is in a dream? Or just him visualizing it? They're leading him along.
Well, also it
does get a little fuzzy.
So everything he did,
he tells them in one of his memories, I'm an ex-cop, when they first interact. And so depending on, I guess the line gets fuzzy of where the invented memories end and where the real experience starts. But it's somewhere in the ballpark of the weird parallel thing that he has with the two of him in the room of the cult. And so I think all of his interactions with cops are prior to that point. So those are invented.
Yeah, see, I'm still really lost. See, that your prompt fits so well. Lost. I'm still a little lost.
Well, this is
I'm
interesting because the high school, as I mentioned, was called Jacques Derrida High School. And Derrida, a lot of times, discussed contradictions and inconsistencies in texts and ideas. And he tried to expose the ways in which systems can be, they appear to be pure or transparent or universal, but they're really not. And so a lot of this movie is actually trying to discuss and trying to work with existentialism, deconstructivism, the idea that even though everything that we think is real, it's all completely subjective and it doesn't have to be real, right? Just because we think we know how things are, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case.
I think,
right?
If to make it potentially more graspable, what's the character's name? What's his actual first name?
James. Yeah.
James is in the Matrix. Everything, all of the items in the folder that he finds in the cult are all the things that the cult put together to manifest James's Matrix. And he's experiencing a false reality up until he basically breaks in and finds all the shit about himself. And the scene that we see where he's in the tunnel naked and being taken over by the god or whatever is essentially after his creation. That is his like first real experience. He is manifested into being by the envisions of the cult, led by Amanda, who kind of orchestrated and created the like shared vision through which they kind of embodied him, manifested him. And they have all those items that they use to basically try and give them more tangible things to manifest around. And then he becomes possessed by the creature and or the being, the empty man, and is the continuation of the cycle from Aaron Poole into him as this new vessel. But most of the experiences that we witness him experiencing didn't actually happen.
It's all part of the cults projecting onto him. And then he shoots the shit out of Aaron Poole. He shoots him dead. And then everyone just goes, "We worship you now." Oh, if you said what you just said, Ryan, right? This cult thinks a man into existence, and then he's taken over by an eldritch god. And they have to make him suffer for 3 days until he can become real. And then the god can take him over so that it can conquer humanity. You just described my perfect movie. That's so awesome. That's such a cool concept.
That's why the movie. That's the movie.
I know.
Right?
That's why I love this movie so much. It's like, is it flawed? Yes. There's a lot of little extra dangly things off the side of it that it doesn't need? Yeah. But that central concept is fucking awesome.
It's super cool. It is. And like, honestly, for the most part, I think it does a pretty good job. Like, I would actually disagree with what you said about the kids thing in the sense that, like, I think that the kids section is executed pretty well. And I think that it's a good segue from like, quote unquote, I'm living my normal life into like, I unearthed this cult thing. Like, I feel like that all flows pretty naturally. And I would also say, I think the kids section for the most part is done pretty well and sets up the quote unquote rules of the universe fairly well. I think where it gets fuzzy for me is like most of it towards the end. Yeah, we have some dangly bits kind of still hanging here or there, but like, wow. Sophomore humor aside.
Yeah.
I think that like for example, the him being in two places in the same scene thing is a cool execution, but like, what the fuck? That has like, they never explained that. Like, how?
It didn't make any sense to me. I loved it. I agree. I loved it because I remember him hearing those noises. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's cool. It's him making those noises. But then I was like, but what?
But then it gets like timey-wimey and like, there's no explanation for the timey-wimey. And also Amanda's in one of the seats where she wasn't before. And like, there's like some weird stuff there that you're like, but why? Like,
so then
cool
why did those kids have to kill themselves?
It's showing that reality is subjective, right? Like the subjective nature of reality has broken down at this point.
That's fair.
So I
can appreciate that.
And this is the thing.
That's a fair point.
This is the thing is like, yeah, the kids stuff, it's well executed. It just feels like it's extraneous and it pulls away from that story because if the story is about his journey, why are we experiencing 10 minutes of the kids on this bridge in what feels like it's ripped out of a teen horror movie from 2009? It's just such a chunk of something else.
Well, I think it's necessary to tie him so directly to Nora, of like, the whole reason he's doing it is to help Nora find Amanda. And that indirectly leads him to the cult, but also what he finds causes him to become more protective of Nora, which also in turn leans into the invented trauma that they have for him, of like, they are forcing a proximity between these two people who, at least in this invented story, have a really messy history and stuff that they don't really want to address. And now we're forcing proximity on that.
Well, but I think you also hit on something, and they get the time to show how messy human relationships and human interactions are, and how random and strange they are, and how they work in ways that we don't always comprehend. And it's why they also have a lot of shots inserted of the movements of birds in the sky.
I love those shots.
We have the way that leaves move in the wind, the movement and the sound of bugs, where like the bugs suddenly cut out at a certain point, right? Like they put these things in the movie that make us feel larger forces at work. And that's part of what they're trying to portray, is that feeling of the sublime, the experience of larger forces at work, that feeling of the way the storm rolls in, the way that the cult all moves as one creature towards him when he's out in the swamp, right? That's super creepy.
That whole scene, that sequence is incredible. I love that.
And you can juxtapose that with the way and the messy way that their relationship is. It actually, it kind of reminds me of, did you guys ever watch the movie Watchmen or read the comic book?
I saw the movie Watchmen.
I've never watched it, but I know a lot of people who are fans of it.
Okay, so it really quickly, in it, there's a moment where the complete randomness of human relationships causes a guy who's essentially a god to realize that the uniqueness of each human experience gives each human life value. And that's something that I think is expressed in this movie as well, is that chaos of human life defining human life, but then also being the very thing, it's also the void that we stare into every day and say, like, that's the defining line between the two, is yes, everything is chaos, everything is mess, and we have to make sense of it. Because if we don't make sense of it, if we just give up and say that everything is one, nothing matters, then that's giving in to entropy. That's giving into the empty man.
Which also, I think, plays into his conversation with one of the cops of like, he's like, we can't, I don't remember his exact wording, but he basically says that we can't arrest the cosmos or whatever. He's like, some of these things are just beyond our capability.
We can't indict the cosmos.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I love that line.
It's a cool line.
Which is more true, your name or the gibberish? That is the empty man.
Also, I love that actor. He's in a bunch of stuff, but he was like, he played such a good like culty priest.
Oh yeah, who is that actor again?
His name is Stephen Root. He's been in a
bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I want to touch on the fact that, like, for one thing, this movie,
he's in Dodgeball, I think, right?
He is actually, yes. And in Office Space, he's the stapler guy from Office Space.
Yes,
that's right. He's a stapler guy from Office Space.
He's in a bunch of stuff. He's very good. But this movie was done on a pretty low budget, and like, there are moments that you can see it here or there, but I think it does a really good job of kind of surpassing what you would expect for the budget that it has. Really, the only times that I noticed were the cult scene, which was creepy, but like, just the way that it was filmed and the fact that it had like the one overhead light, I was like, this feels a little bit like they were working with limited resources. And then the other one that really kind of took me out, that actually, like, I was like, oh man, that one hurt a little bit, was during the whole chase possession scene in the sewer. They do, and I just wish they had cut the shot, but they do that one shot where like the wall paint like bubbles up as it runs around.
I love that shot.
Really? Because like
I love that shot.
It like, and I haven't seen Supernatural, but like, I've seen some effects of Supernatural, and I've watched shows in a similar vein, and like, it just felt like one of those like just like, oh, it's like a TV show with a limited budget and they have
It's
this one
Scream
special
WB.
effect. Like it was just like, oh man. Like,
Ouch.
like it was just this, that one shot, I was like, oh, that doesn't look polished. And then they just move on. And I was like, oh no.
I forgave it just because if there's one thing I love in horror movies is the idea of a miasma around something horrific that causes everything about it to rot and die.
That's fair.
And get destroyed.
And that's cool.
That's it. I love that idea, and I'll accept the shitty effect if they can pull it off.
Honestly, though, if even then, just like burn it or something, like singe it would have been like a cooler practical effect that you could have done without the CG. But the like bubbling, those were the two moments in the movie where I was like, is this movie on a low budget? And then I looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, they did have a pretty decent low budget, and they did a good job.
Yeah,
all things considered. But those two shots, you could feel it.
And bringing it back around to that low budget. Studio took it out of his hands, came out in the pandemic and got just dumped with no advertising. And yet we got the movie that we got. So guys, let's bring the ship back home. The Empty Man, we have discussed it. We have torn it apart. We've chewed it up. We've spat it back out. Let's talk about the movie. First of all, we got to figure out why some people died in this movie. We got to go around the robin here and figure out why. Now, not a lot of people died in this.
Hold on, we're over 10.
You got over
Are they
10?
real?
Absolutely.
See, but now I'm so confused. Like if those people were even real that even died.
So Aaron Poole, not Paul's three
We
friends.
got four. The four at the beginning.
Well, technically, depending on if we count
those
Aaron
kids
as
on the
dead.
bridge alive.
But so that was all before him. That all happened. That was all.
We're going to assume everyone you see die is dead.
So
you can pick anyone you see die in this movie. You can, or even not see anyone that you assume is dead.
Yeah,
they did.
To be fair,
the wife and son, they don't exist, but they died. So we can pick them if they want. So what? Let's. Ryan sounds like he's on a roll here. I'm gonna say, Ryan, you got to pick first and tell us why someone died.
Okay. Well. To Daniel, to your point, I think the three at the beginning are definitively dead, and then I think all the kids and the cop, like the wife, and there's some gray there. But honestly, I'm gonna go with pretty much the three at the beginning die. Not only because, again, just don't touch the guy. Tie up a rope and pull him without touching him. But even beyond that, I'm gonna say like they are comfortable enough to go out in the storm to go get water or supplies or food, or I don't remember what they go out to get. Like two of them were like, well, I'll be back. And like, they go out in the storm, just go home. Like, they're like, we can't leave because of the storm. We're snowed in. And then they're like, we'll be back. And they're gone for like at least an hour. They're gone for like at least
miles to the nearest
20
road.
minutes. Yeah, but they've got winter gear and they didn't have very thick packs. And like, to be fair, they weren't packed for a multi-day trip. They say themselves they have limited supplies. So it's not like they had a lot of weight that they were dealing with.
Aren't you from Colorado? Don't you know how the mountains are?
I'm a backpacker. I'm an Eagle Scout. Like, it was not that deep of snow. Like, it was not that deep of snow. And granted, I'm not familiar with Bhutan.
I'm an Eagle Scout.
And I'm not familiar with the wilderness of Bhutan, but I'm just saying, judging by the snowstorm that they witnessed and the amount of supplies that they had, just go the fuck home.
Well, the Eagle Scout is going to tell you how to climb Mount Everest, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it was not Everest. I know where Everest is, and it's not in Bhutan. It's in Nepal. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness. All right, so you're saying they died because they wouldn't leave their friends in a snowstorm.
No, take them with you. Like, I'm serious. Like, literally, rather than, hey.
But the one is comatose. He can barely carry him down the hill.
Put him on your shoulder. Between the three of you, put him on your shoulder. Again, they don't have very heavy packs. Between the three of you, put him on your shoulder, take breaks, and walk your asses home. So you're
calling out the women. You're calling out the women here because he carried him by himself.
Yeah. I'm just saying. He carried him by himself to the house in the opposite direction of home.
That's true. He did carry him.
All three of them should have hucked him up on their shoulder and trucked their happy asses home.
See, I think you were onto something with like kind of the classic horror movie trope of when someone tells you something, just believe them.
Yeah, that too.
You know, he's like, if you touch me, you will die. Mm-hmm. And just believe all Aaron Pauls. You know, just leave them alone.
All Aaron P's.
All Aaron P's, Pauls, Pools, whoever. Just believe them. But okay, so you say they should have just taken him out of there, and that's why they died.
Don't touch him and go the fuck home.
Wow. Just leave your friend.
End of story. No, take the
Dan Marcha Madness.
Praying to the tentacle.
Dan,
use rope and take him home.
So I don't go to a spa by yourself at night, and like, why turn up the heat so you can't see in there?
Yeah.
So the girl that
The
stabbed
steam.
herself, like, come on, you're by yourself. Just
That scene was brutal.
obviously
the
obviously
random
the
gratuitous teenage nudity
yeah,
scene.
I was
Yeah.
like, why? That was definitely added by the studio.
Oh.
It's like, okay, so all right, attractive girl.
Yeah.
We got to see her butt.
Well, also
like, what?
after,
Why?
after
What was
we
that
set
about?
up that she's 17 or whatever, like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
really
uncomfortable.
weird. It's like, we're gonna make you feel really
Well,
weird.
technically she's 18. Technically she's 18. It was so 80s,
It was-
80s horror movie. Like, no, technically she's 18,
Which
so
is
it's okay.
such a
Come on.
yeah, that was that whole thing was
On a funny sophomoric aside, during that scene when the chick was in the sauna and her robe dropped and she turns around and walks into the sauna, as you say, Dan, exposing her backside,
Uh-huh.
my dog decided that was the moment that he was going to release some gas.
That's funny. Good timing. That's
So
great.
It was.
At least it lightened the mood.
Had
Yeah.
to stop the movie. I was laughing so hard, like a kid watching Beavis and Butthead, because this chick drops her robe and turns. Everything's very serious. And it's very quiet. She drops her robe and she turns around.
That's amazing.
There goes the tension.
That's great.
Dan, okay, so she's in the sauna.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, don't go to a sauna. If a sauna, just what? There's nobody there. That's a really nice sauna. There's like nobody else there. Just like get out of there.
If you blow on a bottle on a bridge in the middle of the night, when all your friends tell you if you blow on a bottle you're going to die in 3 days, don't go into a sauna.
Yeah,
3 days hence.
it's like Naomi Watts, like after on the Ring getting the 7 days, she's like, all right, on the 6th day, I'm just gonna go hang out at the spa,
Yeah,
in the
it's
Ring.
not
What's
very bright.
What's up with people hanging out at spas on the day they're supposed to die?
Just saying, like, she didn't die, but another movie. But I'm just saying.
Oh no, I haven't seen
Ryan,
it.
like,
I gotta say, Dan actually, I think has even more logic than don't touch the Aaron Paul, Aaron guy. Don't touch Aaron. Don't go into a spa on the day you're supposed to die seems to be like way more logical than that.
mhm.
That's super ultra.
If you're told you're
logic.
gonna die, I just sit in your house and just like look around, just make sure shit doesn't come at you.
Load up
That's
a
just
gun, sit on your porch, and wait for someone to come on back.
you guys kind of took the best ones from me. I don't really have. There's not who else died. I mean,
so
those were all the deaths.
All the kids, the hikers, the wife and son.
Yeah, the wife and son. Don't be a figment of someone else's imagination. That's my lesson for everyone.
Well, if they were real, don't let your kid have a penny. Come on. Where you play? It's like playing with a penny in the mouth. Come on, of course they're gonna choke on that.
Mhm.
Like, come on.
Well, you're
See, we're
driving.
finding out what kind of dad Dan is here.
Pull over.
Pull over.
Like,
Get that penny out. Uh-oh, here comes a snowy
yeah,
bridge.
like, oh my God, my kid's choking. Let me pull over and deal with that real quick, rather than being like, oh my God.
I'm on a snowy bridge. Let me reach back and swat my kid in the face.
Exactly.
That's what. But Dan's saying he would swat. He'd be like, no, he'd done the same thing. But give me that
I would have
penny.
just been like, why do you have a penny? Put it down. Stop. What are you doing? Stop it. Instead, she's like,
I'll
"Let's
give you
go
the back
home."
of me hand, boy.
So I'm really bothered. That the wife and kid were never, ever
They were never real.
Ever?
They're completely invented.
Wow.
This really hurts
The
you.
sex scene during the funeral was also invented, which, by the way,
That's all fake too. So awkward.
like, yeah, that's fucked. Like, oh,
that
sorry.
was really gratuitous too.
Yeah, sorry that.
She was like, "Oh, like it's like my husband's funeral, but I'm gonna wear my best Victoria's Secret."
Yeah, like, sorry
'Cause,
your
like,
husband
yeah.
died. Here, let me make you feel better. God. You just saw your wife and kids leave. Like, what?
He
Hey.
regretted it for the entire movie.
I do have to jump back on two things. Like before we move on to the end, there when we were speaking on inspiration, I see a lot of Fincher in this. Like a lot of the placement of camera. There's so much a lot of it felt like callbacks to like some Seven shots. Like the way that things were.
Maybe
like,
that's why I like the filming so much.
I think. I mean, the filming was incredible, but then also
Definitely a Fincher sex scene after the funeral. Very Fincher.
yeah, slow-mo sex scene, gratuitous,
Up against the wall.
like uncomfortable.
This is very
watch kids
awkward.
die and also have sex at the same time. It's
Cut
like,
between the car crash and the sex scene.
it's like God. But also this I don't know, Ian, if you ever seen this movie, but Ryan, we should hopefully watch this on the podcast. But there's a great movie called The Kill List.
Oh yes,
I felt like
yes.
In the movie The Kill List, which is a great twist of a movie.
No
too.
spoilers. No spoilers.
I won't spoil anything, but there's a scene that the whole sequence of him discovering the fire and the cult and the chant outside.
Yes,
it almost felt shot for shot. I was like, did they just watch that movie and do the sequence like in homage of that? But I saw Kill List in that, and that's an incredible horror movie. If we get to that someday,
yeah. Ryan, if you didn't like the cult scene in this, the cult scene in Kill List will definitely work for you. And
I like the cult scene in this. It just stood out as like it felt limited in scope compared to it stood out in that sense. But I did like the scene. I thought it was well done.
Limited in scope as the bonfire tears up towards the heavens as they reel above James and he realizes the enormity of the universe.
All that was cool. It was the media after that where the fire's out and they just have what was clearly like a production light. Like that was the point that I was like, why do they have a production light? Like that. I was like, that was the moment after it was like, it went from the cool CGI shot to like, we have a single production light.
What would you have preferred? They were out there. They were out there to see how to build the bonfire.
It was just odd. That was the thing that caught it for me. Also,
generator light.
What was with the teddy bear? Was there anything with the teddy bear? Because the teddy bear seemed really odd.
All right, nitpicky Ross lies. We got to give our Scully awards here.
I just don't know. The teddy bear was odd. I didn't think about it until we were reviewing.
Well, but bring it out in your Scully awards. We got to give the Scully awards for this movie. We got to figure out what we are going to give this movie in terms of a rating and a recommendation to everyone who listens to this show. So, boys, let's go around the circle. I'm going to start because it was my movie. I brought it to the table.
For it. Yes.
I'm going to give this a solid 8. It's obviously flawed. It's got its problems, but it is a damn fine movie. It's one that I recommend to anyone who loves horror, anyone who loves these kinds of movies has to go check out Lovecraftian stuff. If you have any love for Lovecraft or a lot of love for Lovecraft and you haven't seen it, you must check out The Empty Man. As I said, it's got its problems, but given how much issues it had getting to the market in the first place and then finding an audience afterwards, I'm grateful it's in the state that it is. So an 8 from me, Mr. Dan Marcha Madness. What do you give Empty Man?
I was leaning towards a 6, but I can't go that low because I feel like it's too well made. But I will go a 7 because, to be honest, like and this is just a personal opinion because I'm still very lost like the prompt is. Like I still am confused on exactly what was real, what was not, the cohesiveness of it all together. I think it does help that you explain that the studio took this away from him because you can now like explain that, but it still doesn't make it like it still doesn't make it up there with like the 8 and the 9 for me because it doesn't feel as solid and like complete. So that's why I will still say a 7 because I still think it's very well made. I mean, you obviously see this guy's a very great filmmaker who learned from one of the best filmmakers out there. And so you can feel the Fincher influence on it. And I love David Fincher. So I will go with 7. A great David Fincher movie also.
It is, and if you like this director and his style, I do recommend that you check out episode 3 of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. He directed one called The Autopsy, which is absolutely batshit insane.
Oh, I love it. Okay, cool.
And
I'll check it out.
It's very fucking weird and fucked up. So check that out. But Mr. Ryan Ross Live, you got an 8 from me. You got a 7 from Dan Marcha Madness. Where do you fall on The Empty Man?
So what appears to be the second time in the history of the podcast, I'm going to be the highest rating of the episode.
Wow.
What?
I'm going in at an 8.5.
Wow.
That's what I came in with, and that's what I'm leaving with.
Wow.
Because here's the deal. Like, cracks aside, like, yeah, there are the rules get a little fuzzy. There's definitely stuff that stood out. I think that one CGI shot kind of sucks. Like, there's some weirdness, but like, it was a cool movie, and I really enjoyed the whole thing. and I left it feeling like it was a really cool movie. And like, you guys know how much of an ending guy I am. Like, I was a little disappointed at the end that it's kind of just like, as far as the ending goes, it's kind of just like, it can't actually just get him an end, right? Like that's it. But the fact that I felt that way, I think speaks to the fact that I was really invested. And like, yeah. I loved the style of the presentation of the fact that it kept doing the day 1, day 2, day 3. I thought that was a really cool, not only just like mechanic, but also was visually represented really well. I liked like having the anticipation of like you half knew what was coming next, but then it would veer off in a different direction. I liked the kind of mystery, like investigative, like we're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the story element. I liked it a lot. 8.5 for me.
That's phenomenal. I'm so happy that you came in above me.
Wow.
I did.
And I brought this movie and I love this movie. That's freaking amazing. That makes me so happy. I'm so glad you liked it, Ryan.
I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think
That's
it's perfect,
phenomenal.
but I really, really liked it. And I'd recommend it to anyone, frankly.
Yeah. No one's going to say it's perfect, but I agree. I think it's a damn good movie. And on a good day, I'd probably put 8.5 too. I'm just, after discussing it, I agree. It's got a couple too many flaws. And I agree with Dan's point that I have to deduct some points just for the rough edges, but
yeah,
there's so much good meat there that it's absolutely, I mean, I recommended it to this show. But that being said, now that we have done that movie, now that we've discussed it, I am without a prompt. So we have come to the time of the show where I've got to reach up here and grab my little skull. And
He's got the coolest one. He does.
He's like the coolest one.
I've got to reach in here.
That's why you showed off the way you do. You're like, look at this.
I'm waiting for the time when we finally get this show
to your Avengers bucket.
When we stream this show and people can actually see what I'm pulling it out of.
That's true.
I'm practicing.
Well, you know what's funny is we just have to wait until we get video episodes, and then we all come in with new receptacles except for Ian and be like, "What do you mean? I've always had this like melted vampire goblet." What do you mean?
All right, so I'm reaching in and I'm picking out right now. We have so many prompts. Y'all don't even know. We have like 200 something prompts in our receptacles.
I've been thinking of some maybe to add. I don't know if we're cool with adding more, but like there's been some that I've been thinking of. I'm like, we should add this word.
Okay, I'm digging really deep. There's some like clotted down in the bottom.
Oh, man.
Like when someone dies and the fat clots at the bottom of the corpse.
I was gonna say great word choice, and then you continue.
Maybe it's a Twizzler.
This is intro. Okay, so I don't know what to think about this. I went deep in there and I got a 4-letter word. It is hook.
Wow.
That's so cool. That's so good.
That's exciting.
And I don't think that we're going to be doing a Peter Pan show, so I'm going to have to get creative here.
Well, the cool thing is you could go different directions. You could go like a great hook into a movie. You could go like a physical hook.
Oh, that's
like things
interesting. That's outside the box thinking.
Or I could go completely obvious and do the classic and make us watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the greatest scenes with a hook in the history of cinema. But we will have to find out what I choose in a couple of episodes. Dan is dancing. I'm dancing.
If we get to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I might just have to go obvious next time, but we'll see what I do. But we have to discuss the next episode now, boys. We have another show coming up in 2 weeks from this one.
Oh my.
And that one is going to be Ryan's pick.
That's me.
That's you.
What are you choosing?
We have to find out what he chose. So Ryan, would you tell us your prompt and what you chose?
So I drew David Cronenberg.
Oh my.
And here's the deal. I don't know who I at least didn't know who David Cronenberg was. I figured I knew we put some actors and directors in here. It wasn't an actor name I recognized, so I figured it was probably a director. I looked it up. And granted, because of the fact that I didn't know who David Cronenberg was, I decided I would look up recommendations for the best David Cronenberg movie. And I found a Reddit thread that you can probably find if you do that same search, that the top commented David Cronenberg movie is the one that I chose purely off the recommendations of the people of Reddit. And we will be watching Videodrome.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay, Ian, how many times have you seen this?
Videodrome?
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, of all of Cronenberg movies, it's one of my lesser watched ones, but not because of quality, but just because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's
All right.
I can't say it's his angriest movie. That would probably be The Brood. I can't say it's his grossest movie. That would probably be The Fly. I don't. What would his grossest movie be?
But
He did The Fly? I could have picked The
He did The
Fly.
Fly. You didn't know he did the. You could have
Oh, yeah,
picked
he
The
did-
Fly.
he did The
I could have picked The
With
Fly,
Mr.
and I picked
Goldblum.
Videodrome. Now I'm sad.
Yeah, buddy. It's gonna be fine. You don't worry. You'll appreciate it.
This is my first time watching
His
it.
most
I'm
uncomfortable
in
one.
the
What's
same
his?
boat with you, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Same boat. Same
I'm
boat,
always down
Ryan.
for that.
What?
Now I feel better.
Wait, hold on. Time out. Go back. You've never seen it
Yeah.
before?
I have never seen this Cronenberg
Oh!
film. No, Mm-mm. I've seen clips because it's so iconic. I've seen the famous clips from it that show body horror, but I've never seen this from beginning to end. So I'm excited. This is my first time watching it.
Fantastic. Well, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard what you've got to do before our next show. Please go watch David Cronenberg's Videodrome so that you can talk along, or so you can listen to us talk about.
You could talk to the radio too.
You can talk- you can talk at us.
Talk back, but
Yell
yeah,
at us.
just
I'm
talk-
sure
just
people
in your
yell at us
car.
already. Yeah, yell in your car, yell in the gym with us on your headphones. That actually makes me happy to think about people doing that. People putting up weight and just being like, "God damn it, what are you talking about?"
What do you mean you don't know what the teddy bear was about? It's so obvious.
Ryan's never seen one.
He wants that answer.
With that being said, go watch Videodrome. Thank you for joining us for Empty Man. And with that said, for Ryan Ross Live, for Dan Marcha Madness, I am Sir Ian Dangerous. We will see you right here next time on
This is why you die.